So, you want to rent in France, which is excellent. Truly, after all, renting is the sensible prequel to buying. It is the dating phase of your relationship with the French Republic. It is where you test the region, you test the climate, you test whether the local bakery uses enough butter in the croissant, or if they are just bread rolls lying about their credentials. In some countries, renting is a commercial transaction, a conversation. Here is money, give me house. In France, however, renting is not a conversation. It is a performance art piece where you must demonstrate to a stranger that you are stable, solvent, and unlikely to attempt a coup from within their apartment. So today we are going to dive into the actual mechanics of the French renting system. We will cover where to check realistic rent levels, because guessing is for tourists. The main types of leases, the deposit, the guarantor system, because your word is not enough, agency fees, notice periods, energy rules, insurance, and most importantly, how to build a dossier that makes you look like a boring adult rather than a chaos goblin. Before you fall in love, check real rent levels. France has official tools to help you check reality, because even though reality is often disappointing, it remains useful. You will meet the Observatoires locaux des loyers, OLL, local rent observatories. It sounds like a place where men in white coat stare at a euro coin through a telescope, doesn't it? Ah, yes, the rent is rising in the East. This national network has existed since 2013. It is designed to improve knowledge of the private rental market. These observatories are run by serious bodies like ADIL, as well as urban agencies. Recognized by the French Ministry of Housing, the ADIL, Association départementale d'information sur le logement, Local Housing Information Association, provides guidance to individuals on all housing and property-related matters. It offers free, tailored advice on financial, tax, and legal issues. Both ADIL and urban agencies provide an official platform with a carte des niveaux de loyer, an interactive map of rent levels. You can compare markets using criteria like the number of rooms, the type of property, and the construction era. Let's take a concrete example. Paris, because you have all seen Moulin Rouge. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir? For Paris and the wider blob of humanity surrounding it, you will hear about OLAP, Observatoire des loyers de l'agglomération parisienne. It is a dedicated structure producing rent references. Now, if your town isn't covered by these specific observatories, do not panic. There is also the government-linked Carte des loyers based on loyer d'annonce, advertised rents. This is updated annually and gives you indicators by commune. So, the idea isn't to find a single holy number written in fire on Mount Doom. The idea is to arrive with a realistic range. This way, you do not stand in a viewing whispering, is this expensive? While the estate agent quietly ages into folklore. Now, let's talk about the essential French rental vocabulary. This is your language survival kit. You cannot rent if you do not speak the code. And it is a code. It was designed by Napoleon to confuse the British, and it still works. Here is the glossary you need. Un logement, a dwelling, a home, a box for humans. Un bail, a lease, pronounced like buy, which is ironic because once you sign it, you are not going anywhere. Le loyer, rent, the pain you pay monthly. Les charges, service charges. This covers things like the elevator, the water, and the sweeping of the hall. Loyer hors charge, HC, rent excluding charges. Charges comprises, CC, rent including charges, the real price. Always look for the CC. Un propriétaire ou un bailleur, the landlord. Un locataire, you, the tenant. Un dossier, your application file, your soul on paper. L'état des lieux, the inventory of condition. There are two of those. L'état des lieux d'entrée, the move-in inventory, where you inspect every scratch. L'état des lieux de sortie, the move-out inventory, where they blame you for the scratch that was there since 1994. Once you know these words and phrases, the French market stops sounding like a polite spell book and starts sounding like an actual contract, which is better, slightly. Where to actually find a place to live? This is where the French property hunt becomes a multi-front digital war. First, the undisputed king, Le Bon Coin. Think of it as the French Craigslist, but for everything, including properties. Over 50% of the French rental market is conducted through this site, bringing you listings directly from private landlords and smaller agencies. Second, the agency powerhouses, SeLoger and Logique Immo. These platforms are the go-to for professional real estate agencies, the agences immobilières. Listings here are generally higher quality, more professional and easier to filter, but remember you will be paying agency fees. Third, the fee killer, PAP, which stands for particulier à particulier, private to private. This site is strictly for landlords who manage their property directly, meaning no agency fees for you. The volume is lower, but the savings are huge, making competition intense. But let's also have a look at the specialized and expat-friendly sites. Indeed, if you are a student new to the country or only seeking furnished leases, you have specialized options. For students and young professionals, check out Studapart and Morning Croissant. These services often simplify the process for international renters, sometimes handling the Guarantor system or specializing in furnished mid-term rentals. If you are an expat looking for a soft landing, platforms like Housing Anywhere or Spot a Home focus on mid-term furnished stays. Be aware they charge their own service fees, but they offer greater convenience and English language support. If you want to go with the agency approach, it's not just about the big portals. Many agencies list exclusively on their own websites for the first day. You should monitor the sites of major French networks as they manage a huge share of properties. For example, check Orpi, Century 21, Foncia, La Forêt, and Guy Hockey. Because the French rental market moves at the speed of light, especially in the cities, properties can be listed and gone within hours. So, set up automated alerts, use the notification systems on Le Bon Coin or SeLoger. Prepare your dossier before you search. As we will discuss in a moment, you must have your complete digitized dossier ready to attach to your very first message. For the first contact, your initial message must be short, polite, and confirm your ability to pay. The French rental logic is built on a simple premise: housing stability matters. We had a revolution, you see, a few hundred years ago. We chopped off some heads. It was very messy. Since then, we have decided that we prefer things to be calm. We like rules, as you may have heard. So you will encounter three main lease types. Location vide, unfurnished rental. This is the I am settling properly option. The minimum lease duration is 3 years when the landlord is a private individual, a human being. 6 years when the landlord is a company, a faceless entity. Now, do not hyperventilate. This does not mean you are chained to the radiator for 3 years. It means the landlord is committed to you for 3 years. You can leave whenever you want. with notice. The framework is long-term and stable, which is exactly why many newcomers and retirees prefer that. It says, I live here now. I have bought a plant. Then there is location meublée, furnished rental. This is the flexible bohemian cousin who owns a multicolored scarf and travels. Standard duration 1 year or 9 months if you are a student. It is ideal if you are arriving from abroad and want to land softly before choosing your forever region. Think of it as the rental equivalent of let's not buy a castle on the first date. And then there is the buy mobilité, mobility lease. This is a special legal format for temporary situations, study, training, professional assignments. Duration 1 to 10 months. And here is a key rule, a rare moment of mercy from the French administration. No dépôt de garantie, caution, which is deposit, is allowed for a buy mobilité. That is the French state briefly removing one of the spikes from the obstacle course to help you through. What will you pay when you move in? Now, the part where your bank account sits down, pours a glass of wine and cries. The deposit. Official term, le dépôt de garantie. Everyday term, la caution. But because we like to make language a trap, there is a twist. Legally speaking, une caution can also mean a guarantor, a person. And the legal act of guaranteeing is le cautionnement. So, if someone asks for la caution, they might want money or they might want your uncle. Here is the survival translation. Deposit money, le dépôt de garantie, often called la caution by normal humans. Guarantor person, le garant or la caution. Legal mechanism, le cautionnement. Amounts, unfurnished, maximum 1 month of rent. Hors charge. Furnished, maximum 2 months of rent. Hors charge. Also, if rent is paid in advance by the quarter, every 3 months, the landlord cannot require a deposit. That is France, again, saying, yes, we like rules, but we do not want to dress as villains. If you give us all the money now, we don't need the security money. What about honoraires d'agence, agency fees? If you rent via an agency, you pay fees, but the fees paid by the tenant are capped by law. In zone très tendue, very tense zone like Paris, 12 euros per square meter. In zone tendue, tense zone, 10 euros per square meter. In other zones, relaxed zones where cows outnumber people, 8 euros per square meter. Plus, the état des lieux fee is capped at 3 euros per square meter everywhere. If an agent tries to charge you more, you can look them in the eye and say, no. It is a powerful feeling. Now, let's talk about the famous dossier, how your future home decides your fate. This is where dreams either live or are quietly filed under nice person, but unclear financial aura. You need to gather documents, passport, proof of income, tax returns, blood type, favorite color. I'm joking about the blood type, or am I? But here is the good news. There is an official government-backed service called Dossier Facile. This is a free public platform. It helps you build a clear, lawful rental file. It is checked and labeled by the state. It helps you provide only the documents that are legally allowed, because some landlords ask for illegal things like your marriage counseling records. Avoid messy oversharing. Send a clean digital link to landlords. In a competitive market like Paris, using Dossier Facile is like showing up to a knife fight with a tactical nuclear weapon. Now let's tackle the question of the guarantor. At some point, many of you will hear the question, avez-vous un garant? Do you have a guarantor? And to that question, you will think, well, I have a pension, I have savings, I have never set fire to anything on purpose. Yes, but the system wants unpredictability. The French landlord is a creature of anxiety. They worry that you will stop paying rent and then stay in the apartment for 3 years eating baguettes while they go bankrupt. If you don't have a private guarantor like a rich French aunt, check Visale. Visale is a state-backed rental guarantee. It is the French Republic saying, I will be your rich aunt. To be eligible, the property must be your main residence. The rent, charge included, is up to 1.5k euros in Ile-de-France and 1.3k elsewhere. Not every landlord accepts it. Some old school landlords are suspicious of the internet, but many do accept it. And for international renters, Visale can be the difference between welcome home and have you considered living inside a well-lit theoretical concept? What about rent increases? If your lease includes a revision clause, and it usually does, your rent can go up once a year. But it cannot go up because the landlord wants a new boat. Rent increases are tied to l'indice de référence des loyers, IRL. For Q3 2025, the INSEE, the National Institute of Statistics and Economic Studies, states the IRL is 145.77. That's a plus 0.87% increase year on year in metropolitan France. Meaning your rent does not rise because someone had a spiritual awakening in the corridor. It rises because the index says so. Now, let's talk about energy rules. You will see 3 letters everywhere. DPE, Diagnostic de Performance Énergétique. This rates the dwelling from A, green, amazing, to G, red. You are living in a sieve. Since January 1st, 2025, homes rated G are prohibited from being rented for new leases in metropolitan France. Basically, if an apartment is rated G, it is illegal to rent it to you. The government has decided that you should not freeze to death. It is very thoughtful of them. So, when you visit, ask for the DPE. You are not being difficult. You are avoiding a winter where your heating budget becomes an interactive art installation called Where Did My Money Go? Insurance and leaving. First, insurance. As a tenant, you must have assurance habitation, home insurance. This is mandatory. It is dull, but so is a seatbelt. And we all agree the seatbelt is a good idea. It covers risque locatif, fire, water damage, explosion. Get it. Leaving now. When you want to leave, you must give un préavis, a notice. For a location vide, unfurnished, it is often 3 months. However, it is reduced to 1 month in certain situations, notably if the property is in a zone tendue. Zone tendue sounds like a medical condition caused by too much espresso, but it just means an area with a housing shortage. Check online. If you are in a tense zone, you can leave faster. So, how to actually win the dwelling? Here is the tactical truth to close this out. In France, a great dossier plus speed plus calm competence often beats charisma. We don't want charisma. Charisma is suspicious. Charisma is for cult leaders. We want dossier facile. We want clean PDFs. We want to know you understand what charge comprise means. So, prepare your dossier before visiting. Use dossier facile. If you are retired, present your pension income clearly. The goal is not to be impressive. The goal is to reduce uncertainty. Because uncertainty is what French landlords fear in the same way cats fear a cucumber that has appeared with no paperwork. Once you understand the vocabulary, the whole thing stops feeling like a maze and it starts feeling like a very French board game. A board game where the rules are complex, the dice are made of cheese, but the prize is a home. Thank you for watching. I love you all. Now there's a bike. The joys of recording outside. And now a car. Okay, so since we don't have cats in this video, for obvious reasons, we have cows. Les vaches, like la vache qui rit, the laughing cow. Bonjour! Bonjour! Oh, they don't respond like cats. If I do this to my cats, they would come. Okay, you're YouTube stars now. Au revoir! Au revoir! Au revoir!